Hello to the lovely patrons. Just so you know, this episode is not, or this behind the scenes, whatever, is not going to be the typical thing you get with Fix My Carcast. Typically, I just record the episode and then I have a camera on me, so if you want to see the video version, because you're a patron, you get to see that too. What you're getting today is I am improvising the whole episode, then I am translating it into Japanese, then I am translating the translation back into English, and then re-performing the entire episode. That is what's in the finished podcast. But for you, what you're going to see right here in this video right now is the original version. It's just me improvising, none of the translation stuff, nothing wacky like that. So just in case, I don't know, if you're one of those people who compares the video and the audio to see if they're the same. They're not today. The people who don't pay don't get to hear the original version. So you're special and lucky and wonderful. And depending on how busy my weekend is, you might even get to see video of the translation process and maybe video of me re-recording. But this is a big one. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time. And I don't know how interesting it'll be to see it. So, but anyway, what you're watching right now is the original improvised version. Okay, to save on editing, time to pause, and then I'm going to start recording the episode. Here we go. If you want a wacky podcast, you got to break a few eggs. This is the part where the theme song would go. I just have to put a pause there so that I can tell. All right. I think that's a long enough pause. Okay. Listening to Fix My Carcast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy. This is episode 57. Comedian and musician Keith Hebert joins later. But first, the housework. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are in the description. Also down there, merch. Get yourself some merch. Do you want to see like a car being cracked open like an egg? Do you want to wear it? Well, merch. Merch will do it to you. We have a new donor this week. It's Scott. Thank you, Scott. The total raised for paying off my car repair debt is now $1,141. Also, when we get to $2,000, we unlock an automatic show gimmick, which is I will watch all the Fast and Furious movies back to back and then record my podcast at the end. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $3,000? Prevent this horrible tragedy by never donating to this podcast. Wait, no, not that. Hey, do you like the theme song? No? Well, if you make a donation of $50 or more, in addition to picking an episode topic, you get to change one thing about the theme song forever until someone changes it back, maybe. Want me to redo the lyrics in my best death metal screaming? $50, make it happen. No new patrons this week. Did you know that we don't have a single patron named Joe? Weird. If any person named Joe or Joey or Josephine or Joseph or Joanne or Joanna or Jolene or Joe Mama joins my Patreon by the time the next episode is recorded, I will title that episode Fuck, Marry, Kill Shrek Edition, regardless of the episode topic. Come on, Joes, there's layers to this one. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. I'll suggest topics I think I could easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is whatever the hell 80 for Brady is. What the hell is 80 for Brady? I don't know shit about Tom Brady or football or what a movie is, but if you want me to review this thing, donate now, preferably enough to cover the ticket. Checking in on the best city in the world based on which city listened to the last episode the most. And our big winner is once again Biddeford, Maine. Congratulations, Biddeford, Maine. Let it be known that your Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, Caddyshack Ranch Wildlife Sanctuary, and Cummer Museum are the best in the world for 7 days. Cummer. Last episode, I made some more sick beats. You can see some behind-the-scenes footage of me putting this mixtape together Let's come together, bruv. Over on Patreon. Also, head over to Patreon for a bonus episode where I talk about the difference between Superman 3 being bad and Superman 4 being bad. That's all available to anyone that signs up at the $5 level or higher. Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are, number 1, wear clothespins on your face. That's a returning gimmick. Number 2, do a Zed from Men in Black impression. That's just for me. You might not like that, whatever. Number 3, incorporate 10 Britney Spears lyrics. And number 4, text my mom the whole time. Just quick recap. Wear clothespins on your face, do a Zed from Men in Black impression, incorporate 10 Britney Spears lyrics, and text my mom the whole time. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes Thursday, February 9th at noon Eastern America time. All right, time for today's gimmick, which is translate the episode to Japanese, then back to English. Let me explain exactly what's going to happen here. I am going to discuss today's topic, as usual, fully improvised. When I'm done recording, I'll then translate the episode word for word. Sorry, I'm literally going to start over because this is too complicated of a gimmick. I feel like people either get it right away or they're like, what are you doing? Okay. I'm translating the episode to Japanese, then back to English. Okay, I'm going to discuss today's topic, as usual, fully improvised. When I'm done recording, I'll then transcribe the episode word for word, put each sentence into Google Translate, convert it to Japanese, then convert the Japanese sentence back to English, and then re-perform the entire episode based on those translated sentences. I'll put video of the original improvised recording up on Patreon, but when you hear the beep, everything that follows is the double translated re-performance. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way, just in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now, we are entering the Gimmick Zone. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. Today's topic comes to us from Scott for $10, and he would like me to review a glass of raw eggs. Now, right off the bat, Scott, you might think you're being clever here. What Scott wanted me to do was drink raw eggs on the podcast. But that's more of a gimmick. So I explained to Scott that that was kind of cheating. But instead of just asking for another topic, like a smart person, I told Scott technically he could pay me to review the culinary delight that is drinking raw eggs. I regret this now. Then, after I accepted the topic of reviewing a glass of raw eggs, I suddenly realized that the gimmick to go with that episode involves re-performing the entire episode. Would this include drinking the eggs during the re-performance? I told Scott I'm going to make that decision based on how much you donate. To which Scott updated his donation from $5 to $10. For $10, you're lucky I'm drinking the fucking eggs. To be completely honest. Because this can be dangerous, I'm told. I know it's in a Rocky movie. Rocky Balboa drinks raw eggs. I can't remember if he had any ill effects from it. I was also watching an episode of the British game show Taskmaster recently, and they flashed a big warning on screen saying, "Do not drink raw eggs." So I guess I too should have a disclaimer that hopefully still translates. Do not drink raw eggs. That said, I'm going to drink raw eggs now. Not now, after a little more talking. You should know that I talked very slowly for the original improvised version because I knew that I had to transcribe it word for word. Because of my slow talking, I don't know how long the finished episode will be. But since I have a sponsor, I feel like I owe it to you to make a full 30-minute episode. Still, I only got a measly $10. So I'm not going to say a ton about eggs or the history of eggs or my history with eggs. But I will at least try to fill a standard podcast length episode. I'm not going to reperform the sounds that I make drinking the eggs. If you've sprung for the video version, you get to see and hear me drinking the eggs. Here they are now. What an interesting number of eggs. Why that number of eggs, Bear Claw Billy, you may ask? And the answer is that Scott's specific wording was raw eggs, not scrambled. And I believe he made a comment about, if I'm paying, you're drinking more than one egg. Well, 2 eggs is more than 1 egg. This is a fact. Therefore, I will be drinking 2 eggs for today's episode. Let me tell you a little bit about the preparation of these eggs. It's worth noting that Taskmaster is a British television program. And for them, drinking eggs is a lot more dangerous because they don't refrigerate their eggs. As I understand it, eggs have a film on them that in America we remove it and then we refrigerate them. But in Britain, they like their warm eggs. I did some research, and I think the main concern is the shell and contracting salmonella from it. Now, I have friends who have their own chickens, and they have given me eggs. And they've warned me to wash them thoroughly, because farm fresh eggs that haven't been pasteurized can be dangerous. The eggs I have here today came from a supermarket. I checked to make sure they had been pasteurized. I kept them cold at all times. And just for pure extra paranoia, they have been dunked in hand sanitizer and washed. I think if one were to try to drink raw eggs safely, this is the safest I could possibly have done it. I'm kind of wondering how much time I need to fill on this episode especially because original recording Billy was talking so slowly. Okay, I am psyching myself up. The time code I have in front of me says I'm about at the 15-minute mark, but I know with the slow talking and a little intro stuff, that's not true. It's probably closer to 13 minutes. Would you like some fun facts about eggs? I did not prepare any, but I can tell you that I saw a parody of the scene from Rocky before I actually saw the scene from Rocky involving drinking the eggs. I may be wrong, but I think it was on the show My Two Dads, starring Paul Reiser and a second dad. I believe the second dad was doing a fitness competition and cracked the eggs into a glass, Rocky style, at which point he beat them with a fork and poured them into a pan. I like to scramble my eggs in a glass, and admittedly, every time I do this, I think of that scene from My Two Dads, not the scene from Rocky. That said, I like the Rocky movies quite a bit, and in an ideal world, I would be blasting something from a Rocky soundtrack in the background. Gonna Fly Now is the obvious choice, but I'm more of a Rocky IV fan, so I would go with No Easy Way Out. And indeed, there is no easy way out of this episode of Fix My Car Cast. I will now proceed to drink a glass of raw eggs. I am picking up the glass now, realizing that a glass may not have been the best way to store the eggs still in their shell, because now I have to roll them out of the glass, which could cause them to break. Okay, no, we're doing okay. It's probably worth noting, I did not bring backup eggs. So if anything goes wrong, it's going wrong in real time on the show. I'm not one of those fancy chefs that can crack an egg one-handed. Admittedly, I don't have the best preparation space today. To be completely honest, I have a pizza box with paper towels in it to catch the shells. I really haven't thought this through very well at all. I am cracking the first egg. Ooh. I'm very worried about eggshells. I'm also worried about getting egg white all over my room. The first egg successfully cracked and in the paper towel pizza box. I'm now cracking the second egg. Ooh, that went on the outside of the glass. Great job, me. If any eggshell gets in the glass, I will drink it. Second eggshell in the paper towel pizza box. I do have spare paper towels for my fingers, and now my fingers are clean. I am holding up the glass for the people who sprang for the video version, which I don't believe includes Scott. So you don't get the satisfaction of watching me drink the eggs. Unless you sign up right now. I would like to confirm there is a big old eggshell in there. And it's shaped like a heart. Aw. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so that's nice. All right. Bottoms up. Gonna egg now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That was nothing. I thought it would be a little grosser, but I've got quite the accommodating throat. They just kind of slid right in. I don't know if the yolks broke in my mouth. I assume they broke going down my throat. I don't feel any strange sensation of them moving down to my stomach. And nothing tastes really awful about them. I was expecting it to be a little weirder, to be completely honest. If you're just joining us, the eggs are inside of me now. So now I guess we wait. And I hope this doesn't mean I'm making Sick Beats 3 next week. At this point, I think it's a psychosomatic thing. In that now I'm sort of aware that there are 2 eggs inside of me, uncooked. The funny thing is I may make more eggs tonight. I could make French toast. I have all the supplies to make breakfast burritos. That could be pretty tasty. I'm sorry you're not getting more content out of me drinking the eggs. There's not much to review. I feel like it's sort of like, take a shot of cream. Now describe it in detail. There's not much to say. There was a mass in my mouth, and then there wasn't. They didn't even feel that slippery. There's kind of a film in my mouth. And I taste salt. As someone who salts their eggs, the salt taste surprised me a little. I assume it's naturally occurring salt in an egg. I'm not an expert. Let's see how translating to Japanese and translating to English handled that pun. I do feel really bad that I don't have more to report on the way the eggs taste. I'm also sorry that I'm talking so slow for people watching the original version. And I'm sorry this episode is probably shorter than I'd like for people listening to the translated version. I genuinely have no thoughts about the eggs. From a taste and texture standpoint, it's over. There's nothing really to chew on. I don't think Rocky chewed the eggs. They just went down the hatch. So that's what I've done here today. And that experience, there's nothing to talk about. I apologize if this is a lackluster episode. I can tell you how I like my eggs. I tend to not like them runny if I'm making an egg sandwich. I think some people like to keep the yolk runny so they can squish the sandwich, and then the yolk runs out, and then you sop it up with the bread. Every once in a while I do this, but for the most part I'm more about like the interplay between egg and cheese in a breakfast sandwich, and meat if there's meat there. But to me, an egg sandwich does not need to be complicated. Just egg, cheese, bread, good to go. You can toast it if you want, but you don't have to. Bagel, yum, yum, yum. English muffin, awesome. I do like Tim Hortons bacon, egg, lettuce, tomato breakfast sandwich. For some reason, you don't think lettuce and tomato on a breakfast sandwich, but I find them to be a welcome addition. I love omelets, though I haven't made one in a while. And yes, I did learn how to make omelets from the movie Deep Blue Sea. It's kind of one of my favorite little movie tidbit things. I don't know what screenwriting genius decided to have a chef leave the perfect omelet recipe as his last words in a killer shark movie, but I wish them well. I remember LL Cool J looking to camera and saying that the perfect omelet is made with 2 eggs, not 3. How fitting, as I've just drank 2 eggs. And some people add milk for density. This is a mistake. I wish Samuel L. Jackson were here to really boost this episode into the stratosphere. I really want to review the eggs better. I'm sorry I have so little to say. I'm a huge egg fan. I don't know if that has to do with growing up poor. Eggs are a very cheap food, though not lately. I will tell you that the carton of eggs that I bought to make this episode cost me $7. I heard there was an avian flu going around. Then I heard that even though there is an avian flu, the cost increase is not connected to it because the cost increase happened before the avian flu. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but at the end of the day, eggs are too expensive right now. The line from Beauty and the Beast has become true. I need 6 eggs, that's too expensive. Did the creators of Beauty and the Beast know that one day they would be predicting monster fuckers, but also the cost of eggs? I bought a full dozen, and I have plans for the other 10 if I'm not horribly sick from this whole ordeal. I'm going to make French toast. I got cinnamon and brown sugar swirl bread, which I will be soaking in egg. And then cooking, because the best way to have eggs is cooked, in my humble opinion. After cooking the French toast, I will be drizzling it with vanilla-infused maple syrup. The good stuff. By the way, that also cost a lot, but that I will allow because it is delectable. So, I hope I get to report that I had some delicious French toast and no ill effects of drinking 2 raw eggs. I am filling time. I apologize. I'm so glad that we have a sponsor this week, but I am so worried that the translated version of the episode is going to come up very short. But hey, maybe this will convince you to go to the Patreon and watch me drink the eggs. I promise I made a really silly face, if only on a technicality, because I have a really silly face. Boy, isn't there egg on my face. Just kidding, there's egg in my face. Well, at this point, the egg is in my stomach. I'm sure Dennis Quaid is in there beating it up. That was a reference to Inner Space, where Dennis Quaid enters Martin Short, but not in a sexual way. According to the time code that I'm looking at right now, it's been 30 minutes. But I have a feeling it hasn't been 30 minutes for you on the double translated side. I have so much goddamn typing to get to. I hope this has been an enjoyable experience, And once again, do not eat raw eggs. Out of 5 stars, I give drinking raw eggs 2 stars. Mainly because it is such a quick experience and there isn't much to talk about. Your throat gets wiggly and it's over. If I get horribly ill from this experience, I will probably bump that down to 1 star. So stay tuned next week for an updated review of what eggs do to you when you don't cook them. As always, keep watching shark movies for more food preparation tips. That whole thing's going to be like 2 minutes once I convert it. I'm going to have to read very slowly. Woo! Thanks, patrons. I hope you enjoyed watching me suck eggs.